Action Comics 1064, Joshua Williamson writing with Rafa Sandoval on the art. This is the start of this Brainiac, House of Brainiac specifically, crossover story between this and Superman. Basically, it's just the next Superman arc that's just getting out quicker because they're giving him some Action Comics issues to put it in as well. That's the way to look at it more than anything. Okay, I'll be positive to start with.
Okay.
I'm expecting to be underwhelmed later, but I do actually think that this first issue of this story is pretty good.
I like how deliberate the pacing of it was, right?
Yes.
Like it doesn't rush getting to the big, like, not even a reveal or anything, but when the action of the story gets going, we're a good, how far into the book?
It must be like a third of the book at least.
Yeah, I mean, before anything major happens on my reader, it's page 11. So, so about 10 pages in.
Yeah.
So about, like you said, a third. So, yeah, I like how deliberately paced that was.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time to kind of just let Rafa Sandoval do a bunch of fun stuff. But more than anything, it's like almost like a roll call. Lois has got a day off, and as she walks through Metropolis, we basically see her pass by a lot of the other supporting characters. You got the Steels with Lana, which they remembered Lana's Superwoman finally. It's been ages since they brought that up.
I feel like it's been years, right?
It feels like it.
Yeah.
But, she goes past Connor and Keenan, the kids. She goes past Kara, gives her a high five. It's all very nice. And I think the thing that this does is that not only does it give you a roll call of all the characters that are going to be in the story, including some of the sort of anti-heroes or villains who are locked up as well, is that it makes you just have a bit of fun with them all and like them all a little bit, so that when stuff starts happening later, you care just a little bit more. Because you've had a little taste of like, hey, they're all happy and I'm glad to see them all.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, And we're also dealing with Jimmy and Silver Banshee being in a romantic relationship.
That's pronounced Siobhan, right?
Oh, I thought you were about to correct me. I was like, no, it's Silver Banshee, man.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
but
yeah, you're
it
right.
gives all of their proper names as well. So, like, when
Siobhan.
we see Metallo, it has almost it as John Corbin, which I also like that Williamson's kind of humanizing these characters that were, being not misused, but they were being manipulated by the other two. Why am I blanking on their names? Farm and Graft, right? So instead of giving their villain names first, we get their actual names. And then we get that with Silver Banshee, but that name always trips me up because is that a Celtic Gaelic name?
It's an Irish name.
Okay.
I believe.
An Irish.
There's a lot of weird Irish spellings of some names that it throws me off as well. The first time I saw that written down, I'm like, what the hell is that? And then someone said it was Siobhan, and I'm like, that's how you spell Siobhan?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I remember Connor, because I was afraid to trip over it, and Connor just says it and then looked at me like, yeah, everybody knows that. And I was like, I've never met anybody with that name, so excuse me, maybe you know a bunch, but, but not me. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that is Siobhan, so...
Yeah. You get this big, great 2-page spread of Superman flying over the ocean with the birds, swimming over the dolphins, going past the football park. It's all designed to just be this idyllic morning. A little bit of joke because he's going to do some yoga with Lois and she's making fun of his outfit. And then immediately it turns sour because this army of both Brainiac bots and Zarnians come raining down from the sky and the action really kicks off. So yeah, I agree. I appreciated the pacing of actually letting us sink in with all the characters, and part of that is probably because Action Comics is, it's 10 extra pages. It's, it did have a backup before. Now it's just a 30-page book, which I think by design is to make sure that if you're only doing 3-issue arcs, they've got a bit more page count to play with.
Yeah.
Here it lets this be a bigger sort of part one to the story. So. Yeah,
and I appreciate them not just doing like an alpha like they've done in the past, right? This wasn't House of Brainiac Alpha, those have bigger page counts as well. So, it does feel like a Superman crossover versus just like another event.
I don't know if I agree. It feels like a crossover. It just feels like a Superman story.
Well, no, that's what I mean. But the part 2 is gonna be in Superman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like it feels like a crossover in that way versus having like a big event type thing like an alpha would necessitate. So it just makes it feel more contained, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I will say there's a just an amusing bit in the coloring here in one of the pages that did make it look a bit weird to me. So everything's going down. There's some fighting. We see a page of Brainiac talking about grabbing the various super characters and whatnot. He's like, get phase 2 on the go. And we go to Supercorp and we see them sort of getting people out and evacuating and all that. It's the same page where it turns out that the hologram, the sort of the Jor-El-esque hologram of Lex, was actually never something that Lex built. Lex is like, what the hell is this? I never built this.
I kind of love that.
I didn't think that was funny. And it was good because it had been set up, it had been a recurring thing throughout the run, so it felt like a nice little payoff to get that, so fair play. But the thing in this page that made me do a double take is that there's a page of, I think, Lena looking out the window, and you see her from behind, and because the coloring on her like trousers is the same as her hands, it legitimately looked like she was wearing like no bottoms. It looks like she's got she's got this fancy jacket with like one tail going down one side, and I thought that was an ass cheek that I was looking at for a second.
It looked like the slip on her dress was very extreme.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like one of those fancy dresses where one leg's sticking out, but it's like really over. And it's just a coloring thing because she is clearly wearing trousers in every other panel.
Yeah. It's because of the red of the light that because the stuff starts going down, the super core lights kick on for like, DEF CON, whatever. And yeah, the red, it's that hint of red that it gives her trousers almost skin tone. Yeah.
So just a minor quirk. I don't know if I'd call it like a problem per se, but maybe just picking a different color would have done wonders there.
Yeah, because I'm looking through the rest of it, and she really doesn't come back up again to see like pants, right? Everything with her is kind of from the waist up. So that's kind of easily fixable. You know?
I mean, I'll make the assumption and assume that she is wearing pants. I don't think they're trying to be sexy with it or anything. But even on the next page, actually, or 2 pages later, there's a panel where she's next to Mercy as she's firing off her hand. And it's the same problem where it's blue this time, but because the lighting's made her skin kind of blue, now her trousers also look kind of blue. Yeah. And it almost has the same problem. It's a little bit clearer in this one that it is a different slight shade, but it's still it's close enough where I'm like, oh, that's funny. It's a funny recurring little quirk.
Very much.
To one character. I think the panel at the top of that page, though, we can see her in the background of the group shot. It's actually clear that her trousers are a different color, so it's more obvious there. But hey, so yeah, Zarnian's showing up, doing a bunch of fighting. Everyone's questioning why. They're firing off these like, I don't even know what to call it. It's like bubbles, like these big sort of like containment bubbles that are like trapping people.
They almost look like a water bottle on the top. Right? Like a screw top, almost like a canteen. But yeah, I definitely, being that it's Brainiac, I took them as container type devices.
I suspect Brainiac supplied them with whatever this tech is. And Lex tries to be a hero, and like he's got like this secret like armor built into his watch that only works for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated because I'm like, wait, he could have just had like this fancy like holographic armor this entire time, but he's like, no, he's only got enough power in the watch for 10 seconds of this, and he dives at the main Zarnian who's in the scene and like shouts out to Superman, who's like, Lex, you better have nothing to do with this. He's like, why does everyone keep assuming I'm behind this? Come on now. Instead, the implication by the end seems to be that Lex almost wanted everything that's happened already with like all of his villains teaming up to happen to try and prep Superman for what's coming next. So
even if it was like, because I took that as it was almost subconscious, yeah,
maybe, I think if it was intentional, if it was conscious, then I would maybe say it's a bit convoluted. So we'll see like how the conversations actually go in the following pages. Supergirl gets a badass moment where she gets to melt off a robot face, but then her, along with all the other super family, start getting grabbed in these containment bubbles. Not just the people at Supercorp. Silver Banshee's proven to be quite helpful. She's screaming the face off people. One of the main things, though, is the main Zarnian who ends up talking a lot is like, oh, I've heard I've got some cousin who goes around these parts, but apparently he gets beat by you all the time, so he must be a little bastich. I'm a proper Zarnian, so it's really setting up this idea.
General Chakal is his name.
That's the one.
Because he goes, word is you have a distant relative of mine, some geekoid named Lobo. I was like, oh my god, if they considered Lobo a geek, these guys are gonna suck.
Also, yeah, this dude, he looks a bit like Kratos from God of War.
Yeah,
with like a biker jacket on.
Yeah, he's got the bald head and the long bushy beard. Well, not that long, but a bushier beard. But yeah, with the vest, so Lobo-esque for sure.
Actually, with the black kind of like around his eyes, he looks a little bit like Warlord when he was in the Powers of Pain. If I do with an old school wrestling reference.
Yeah. It definitely, the eye makeup helps, or whatever. Are those? Hold on, I'm looking at the Zarnians. That must just be his Zarnian physiology.
Yeah, I don't think it's makeup. I think it's just part of their
gotcha.
skin or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes. But yeah. So they've kidnapped like basically all of Superman's allies. I did appreciate that the Brainiac was like, okay, we've done what we came to do. We need to get out now because the rest of Superman's allies are going to show up. So they're acknowledging that Brainiac knows that the rest of the Justice League and the Titans showing up would be a problem. They've came in to like quickly take away these characters, but Lex says to Superman as he's bubbled and bottled off as well. He's like, "Hey, you're the only one who can save us now," and he's going to go and get his daughter back. Blah 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 blah. So, Lois is still around. Clark goes to see her. Superman's pretty pissed. He's looking around trying to find them, and we see a bunch of. Because there's a little tease in the previous page where Brainiac's talking to someone and says, hey, I'm going to get all this knowledge from the universe, and unlike before, I'm going to share it now. And then the final page shows a bunch of Brainiac-looking dudes of various kinds and sizes, and like some just have some facial hair or different looks. There is one dude, though, who's got a bit of a...
Cthulhu?
Yeah, a bit of a Cthulhu vibe going on. So... I'm looking forward. I mean, because it's Williamson, I'm kind of expecting that it might be disappointing, but I am intrigued by the explanation for all these different Brainiac dudes, or what Brainiac's doing now with this. Like, why is this the status quo?
Yeah. Well, and each of these Brainiacs, too, someone pointed out they're from different runs as well, so it's almost like it's canonizing, like John's kind of did this, too, that all Brainiacs are Brainiacs, but they were like drones of some kind. So I'm wondering if this is going to be along those lines that Brainiac's been making copies of himself, or if these are from multiverse, if these are out of time, you know what I mean? Something like that. But yeah, it seems like Brainiac's lesson is instead of hoarding knowledge, he's going to share it with, like-minded people.
Yeah. I mean, also the art's very good. I think Sandoval... Like, he's not necessarily an A-tier artist where I always get excited by the name, but issues like this show that he's very much got it. Like, clearly he got some time to put some effort into this, and I think all the various characters all look pretty good in this issue. There's a lot of good expressions, there's good action layouts.
I like the layout on that page where Superman's looking at the end, just because all at the top is him going, like, he's chasing the Brainiac ship, and then he gets to the atmosphere, realizes he can't catch it, so he comes back down and starts looking, right? And so instead of just doing, like kind of like a scan of a big page, it's two eyes almost, right? Like binoculars. And he sees Jimmy, and then he sees Steel and Natasha, which I do like because it makes it feel like we're getting Superman's actual perspective. So, that's a fun layout.
Yeah. Superman's last word is Lobo, and he sounds pretty pissed, so he's going to go looking for Lobo. It sounds like if Guy Gardner's not already found him, I suppose. More on that later, potentially.
Yeah.
No, the art's very good. I thought it had a great sense of like feeling like the start of an event, in the sense that it started slow, it gave you some time with the characters, it set up the big cast, and then hit you with the big action stuff, and there's some great action sequences in there. So, and to be fair, there's some nice payoffs to things that have been in the run, in the Superman run. That hologram thing not being a Lex creation, and there being a twist there that it's actually a Brainiac creation. was actually a nice little twist. Like, it was actually a smart reveal.
Well, and it feels like with, Lena having the Brainiac thing on her forehead, right? It is playing back into, I forget, it was Our Worlds at War, right? It's playing back into that Lex and Brainiac story too, because it feels like this plan, the reason why Lex was able to almost, and again, like I think subconsciously, plan this type of stuff out with Superman is because he had some kind of knowledge from the time he shared. Were they merged? I don't think I've ever read Our Worlds at War.
Yeah, I haven't. So
yeah,
that's me.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that, again, you're talking about payoff, if there's payoff to that story. But yeah, I will say one of the criticisms has been, I think, from Williamson's run the entire time, where it's like, I am really, really getting tired of big groups of these things, right? So you had all the parasites. We've had, this wasn't Williamson, this was Aaron, but all the Lobos. Now we have all these Arnians and stuff. I'm just like, all right, guys, we get it. Superman.
You meant all the Bizarros there, right? Because you said all the Lobos.
Oh, I'm sorry, other Bizarros. Yes.
This is all the Lobos, technically.
Yes. Yeah, no. And yeah, I meant to say Bizarros for sure. Yeah. But yeah, but again, that's, small. That's nitpicking if I have to, because they're not, it's not a detriment here, because it is to show that the super family gets completely overwhelmed, and that's how they take them. But they're only taking it.
To me, that's not why it's okay here. Like I would get the complaint that we're seeing a bunch of the same type of thing again. But at least here, it's an actual army that someone's came in with, as opposed to everyone in Metropolis is turned into a thing again. Yeah. So that element's not there. Yeah,
and I like it too, because it seems like there was a mission statement. It wasn't that they just came to wreck stuff. They came in, took the superpowered ones, right, and then left. They took Lena and Lex as well. But there's a reason that they left. Steel and Natasha, right?
They took some of the villains though too. They took Parasite. They took Metallo. Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But yeah, no, it's really, really solid. I was shocked how solid it started. Because I wasn't not looking forward to it, but it wasn't. Usually I'll save Superman stuff for last, but I read this first this week. So
yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, but I can't wait to see how Joshua Williamson ruins it. Because at this point, he's earned that reputation for me, where I suspect that I will not like this as much by the time we get to the end of this story.
Let's see how he sticks the landing if he can.
That's the thing. It's not even just the endings. It's usually like the third part of the story where he loses me.
The final act.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, that's about all I've got on it. I think it's just a fun, well-paced start to an event that teases some of what the characters are up to without getting into the meat of it too much. But it was enjoyable to read and to look at. Matt, what are you giving Action Comics?
I'm going to give this a solid 8.
Yeah, I'm tempted to agree with that. I thought this was a solid first issue of an arc, and while I am trepidatious about where it's going because of Williamson, I can't deny that there's anything, there's nothing wrong with this issue.